Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another installment of Transition Talks, where we discuss the stories of transition with former elite athletes and what they have learned throughout the process. I'm your host, Steve Davis Jr., former football player, athlete transition coach with Athlete Soul, and the founder of Strive Higher After Sports. In this episode, I get the pleasure of speaking with Antoine McClain, a former NFL athlete and Super Bowl champion turned athlete development leader. Anton has dedicated his life to helping athletes thrive off the field since playing. So I'm excited to talk with him and hear what he has to say. Let's jump right in. All right, man. What's going on, Anton, man? Thank you for being here.
Man, I appreciate the invite to be on, brother.
Yeah, no doubt, man. I'm really looking forward to learning a little bit more about, your transition story and the work that you're doing now. But let's start at the beginning, man. Tell us a little bit about yourself and your journey. I know you played at Clemson and played in the NFL. Like, what were some of the origin stories, of you going into football and what that was like for you?
I got you. Well, I always like to kind of tell this story because for one, I'm from Anniston, Alabama, and I got it on the shirt if you can't see it. But anyways, small city, it's kind of the typical story about the neighborhood and all that. But anywho, I two great parents. They always instilled hard work in us, and all people always talk about the whole jock thing, but my mom did not play about grades, so I always kind of like in the back of my mind took education serious because it was a means to an end, and I knew kind of like where God was placing me in my life and with sports. But anyway, so I'm from Anniston. I played. I was high school All American, and the whole nine had a lot of offers. Ended up going to Clemson from 08 to 11. I was recruited by Coach Sweeney, so that was a great thing for him to take over, as the head coach within my freshman year. So yeah, man, played 4 years at Clemson. Ended up not going undrafted. That broke my heart because my dream was always to play in the league and make it to the league and take care of my family. The cliche story, but I don't know. I feel like I always want to make it because I've always been a dreamer. Grateful to travel as a kid, to a lot of states and travel and visit my family in a lot of different places. So got to see the world, man. So I knew, I was destined for something. Anyways, go to the league. I mean, go get picked up by the Ravens. Within the seventh round, I remember watching the draft, thinking I'm gonna go third. I got a call like in the fifth round and all that, and so ended up not getting drafted. But I remember, guy called me and he said, "Hey, bro, this is such and such from the Ravens. You know, we pretty much done with our draft, and we see you still on the board. You're one of our picks, but just the way the draft fell, that we weren't able to pick you up. But if you do not get selected in the draft or whatnot, then we would like to bring you on as a preferred, free agent. Anyways, ended up taking that opportunity, in which I was no question. Won the Super Bowl, got to meet some of my idols that I watched, from the sports world, like Michael Orr. I remember reading his book and watching a movie. I remember like guys like Matt Burke played in Minnesota for a long time, Brian McKinney, um, Marshall Yonder, who was like the highest paid guard in the league, but a dog. And then the defense, we had Ray Lewis, you had Pernell Elliott, I'm sorry, and then you had Air Reed, you had all these great people, man, and that was a great time there. Those that year and a half I was there, ended up getting cut in the second preseason game, or the second year in the preseason game, and then ended up getting picked up by the Oakland Raiders uh, on the active roster. So was there for about 6 weeks, I think, or something like that, or a month or so. It was, I think, like 7 games, and then I remember getting traded to Buffalo. Man, I haven't packed my bags and my apartment up so fast because I go from the mansion to win Super Bowl to the Oakland Raiders, and so much pride and tradition. But bro, it was totally different. Anyways, I mean, great. I mean, great organization. But anyway, ended up going to Buffalo. Was there for a year. Probably one of the best times I had because my family is from Buffalo and lived there. So I had like the life, man, because I had the football world and I had family. And I love mixing those worlds. Like, my cousin, he's a fireman, he's a chef in Buffalo. But anyways, but just he liked to cook and stuff, so bringing my friends over. I remember one Thanksgiving, my auntie had cooked and whatnot, so all like I brought a bunch of guys over to eat Thanksgiving dinner. And like I remember my uncle and them being like starstruck, like you got these big names, like I'm talking about, really big names like Pro Bowls in your living room, like he freaked out. Anyways, that was a great lesson. Then I got released from there, and then I, bounced around for a little bit. Then I finished my last 2 years in Arizona, man. I think that was that's probably one of my favorite places I played and lived. But man, it's just again so many stars. Like you got Larry Fitzgerald, you got the great Bruce Arians, you got Calais Campbell, all these great guys. And then I loved Arizona. So man, so after that. That was there for 2 years. Ended up getting cut before the season started. That following year, my last year, actually in the NFL. It's like so. Anyways, that's kind of when like I think life really started happening for me. So
Yeah.
I think I remember getting cut. I just felt like disconnected from like my friends and everything instantly.
So hold on, you just shared a lot in regards to the journey and then also some of the steps that you took in
Right.
whatever came at the end point. Like you felt it coming, you knew it was going to be your last game. But let me
Right.
ask you this. So how long ago did you start playing football? Like what age were you when you started?
Oh man, I started playing ball, bro. Man, I think I was 6 or 7.
Okay.
I started out with flag football, then I moved up to Pop Warner and all that.
Yeah.
Then I play all through middle school and all that. So yeah,
Yeah.
probably about 6.
Okay, so you started at 6. You took that journey. You wanted to go to the NFL, but you didn't get drafted. I know that feeling, and just kind of fighting through, trying to find a spot on a roster. But like in that moment, I'm sure like you kind of felt like, oh wait, like I didn't hear my name called. Like what is this going to look like for me? Like my dreams are like this close. You know what I'm saying? And then you do get an opportunity to go be on the team and kind of fight for a position, and next thing you know, you have a prosperous career.
Mhm.
Um, you kind of share some of this already, but like before we jump into a lot of the transition story, what
Got you,
were
got
some
you.
of the main highlights of your time playing football? Like, what are the things that you're super proud of?
Man, the one of the things I'm super proud of, it didn't have nothing to do with athletics or football. It was the point of I was able to fly my mom and my grandmother to Arizona to see me play. And I remember my grandmother saying that like she ain't never my grandma was at the time, she was probably about mid 70s. And she's still getting around good. My grandma's still working to this day. She's in her 80s. So like them flying and my mom and them flying, from Alabama to Arizona, and then I'm taking them to eat and we hanging out at my apartment, my friends coming over. And my mom always been adamant, like she came to games in college, my friends would come up and she would cook or she would hang out with us for a little bit before we go out. But like man, just to see that and then, come into a game and they had enjoyed themselves. But rewind that Super Bowl, my rookie year, my grandma got to come to a game, and my mom and my family went out with us. And we went to the after party, and when you seen every celebrity in the world, and they high fiving us like Hove and Beyonce. My mom got to see Beyonce up close and at the game, and she always they came to media day with us. So like that was something that I'm like, wow, like I didn't like whenever my friends would come and visit me, we'll hang out and they either finishing up school at the time or they're like working or they're coaching or they're being a dad and we all get together and be homies again. It's like, bro, and they always we big like my man started his own company. Bro, you in the NFL and like y'all won state last year or so we giving each other kudos. So that was the like fun part. My coaches
Hmm.
come to see me play, we hanging out. So stuff like that was always cool to me. But like the Super Bowl was awesome because I didn't ever win state championship, but before we won Super Bowl, that my senior year we went like 10-3 and won the ACC championship. We went to the Orange Bowl. I mean, it was all that stuff, man. The bowl games. My family comes to the bowl games, and they hanging out in the room, or like when I would go home, during the holidays before bowl games or before stuff like that. all the cousins we would like get fly and we'll go out and we'll have fun, man. It's like, and I ain't have to reach in my pocket for nothing. It's just more or less like just a great time. And then, that type of stuff was
Yeah.
always like achievement for me. But like then Super Bowl, bowl games, the homies, man, like the friendships we have now. So those things are like more what I'm proud of than my accolades, I guess.
No, that's dope, man. It's like, bringing the family along to be able to see the world, be able to see the folks, be able to have access to a lot of the great opportunities,
And one,
because
one
of
more,
the,
and one more thing, I mean, cut
yeah,
you off, I'm forget it. I remember when we played Auburn, Cam Newton, the year Cam Newton was there. And I
yeah,
remember so my dad is from that area. So like I had like 40 people come to the game and like my family from my hometown came, all my homies came, I bet they rode together. My barbers came from my hometown and that was one of a great moment too as well.
yeah, yeah. Bringing people along, man. Like, you achieve the dream and get a chance to like, provide a space for everybody else. And like, to a certain point, like you've been recognized, you've gotten the accolades at the highest levels. And you go from that, and that level of stature, that level of being able to support others and everybody looking at you in a positive light and saying, oh yeah, Anton is the one that's helping us get all this access and he's cool, like seeing him live out his dream to that day you throw that jersey in the locker room and then you go to a job and like now you're like, oh man, what just happened? So walk us through a little bit more. I know you were talking a little bit about it, but like the transition when football ended and like how did you feel like emotionally as a person, like your identity, like how was all that wrapped up into it?
It was bro, it was definitely something new and something that I had to adjust. But one thing in the back of my mind always been I'm gonna be okay. It's just I gotta figure it out. So when you said being at a job, so I look at my first actual job, like it was a blessing because the guy when I was at the Cardinals, when I moved back to Arizona, they did this thing called alumni like weekend and whatnot. So they would invite former players back to a game or preseason game. We get a chance to sign autographs before the game start, walk around to different suites and hang out, and then we would have go to our seats. But then we had signed autographs again at halftime. Anyway, so the guy that I was signing autograph with was an older guy, and we was chit chatting. He was telling me, like about his journey and identity crisis and all that. And he was asking me, "What am I doing now?" At the time, I was at a dealership. 3 weeks into moving back to Arizona, and I was telling I don't like it. But anyway, he was like, "Look, send me your resume. I might got something for you." Turns out he's like a director for the doctoral program at GCU in Arizona. So they was hiring for like uh counselors, like athlete what's our counselors in college and whatnot, our academic advisor.
Academic counselor, yeah.
So I was that for the nursing program. Anywho, that job, bro, I got hired for that job. So that job was a blessing because it taught me office politics. It taught me office, etiquette, and office verbiage and emails and keeping up with a list and just being like giving me the office skills I needed because of what was coming. So that was a blessing. But in the midst of all that, bro, the one thing that saved me mentally was prayer. No, I'm sorry, it was meditation and podcast, bro, and working out. And I say that because the meditation, helped me allow to see myself and understand myself. But also too, I said this one, I was having a bad day one day, and I said this prayer. I was like, basically telling God, look, I ain't gonna beg no more. I'm like, this is what I want. I named everything I wanted. And I was like, but I'm going to do the work. Just help me to see what I need to see and when I need to do it. So I can always make the right step or make the right movement and like give me the mindset to like be accepting of the stuff I need to accept and move on. And that's still been that part of it's still been a whole journey now because I'm still unpacking stuff from my identity from football. So
Yeah.
in that moment, that's kind of what saved me, helped me have a positive mindset because I knew what was coming, and then so hey,
No, that's dope. And you made a good point because like part of it is like you probably up until that point have never had a chance to just like sit and reflect and really just think more about what you want out of life because football was just a roller coaster that you just rode since you were 7 years old, and it had provided you all the things that you needed up until that point. I remember feeling the same way and having to sit down in a moment and just kind of reflecting and really having to have that conversation with God too. Like, what's next for me? Like, what am I meant to do? Like, what is out there for me to actually get accomplished, and why am I here? Asking those tough questions, and leaning into the faith to kind of find those things out. But you also mentioned, which is something that I also point out a lot, is that you got an opportunity from a connection. Somebody saw something in you and they say, "Hey, I'm gonna help you out. Come with me over here. I got an opportunity for you." How much of what you do now kind of lends itself to like the people, like connecting with people and the networking, and like probably didn't have a lot of skills learned about that at the early standpoint, but like I'm sure you probably lean into it now. You probably talk to athletes about it now. Like, how much did that show up for you?
A lot. It's part of the reason why I am where I am. I remember one of those days driving to work, and I'm gonna get to your point. Driving to work to GCU that morning, and I remember my director of player engagement from the Ravens from my rookie year calling me. This is I done been on other teams after that. We were just locked in. Anyways, he asked me what I wanted to do. There was an opportunity with the NFL league office that he was aware about, and then it was a legend development program. And but that came from me telling him what I wanted, and then just from his examples of the person I want to be, or like the career I want to move into, because I saw like how much he touched us as rookies. I'm like 7 years removed from that team, and we still locked in. He wasn't even the DPE for the team no more, and we were still locked in. So, and I look how much of those people who was in my life that helped me get to where I am. So I feel like, hey, if I could, use my thing is always to I want guys to not to feel like how me and my homies felt when we finished playing. So that's a big part of it. So that's like, and then one thing working at Clemson under Jeff Davis was he was about the people, man. He was like, at the end of the day, when all this hoopla going on and all this pushing and pulling in the football and all that, like we here to do a job and we're here for the scholar athlete, which is the people. So to make sure that we was serving them right, we have to serve each other right and making sure we for each other and learning how that was. So all of that, man, all the games that I learned, unconsciously learned from being a former athlete or being an athlete, I try my best to part into the guys and like, give them guidance to like, what I know now that can help you in your journey now and when you're my age type, so all of that, man, it all puts a part into it. So I feel
Yeah.
like I'm always trying my best to, you know, give game along with doing my job and doing what the job entails. But I'm always trying to like, not a big homie or OG and all that, but I just like giving y'all free game and like, just hoping that they take it or not. So
Yeah. No, I love that. And I know that now in your work, you do a lot of stuff to kind of help with player engagement, athlete engagement, in that space where you're trying to help them not experience what you experience, right?
right.
Um, what do you enjoy most about the work that you're doing now? And like, what are some of the things that you're seeing with athletes that you're working with that speaks to like just the identity piece and what they're navigating?
Oh yeah. So for a long time, I was working in player engagement and student athlete development and scholar athlete development, leadership development. So what I love about, kind of what, I'm in now and the lane I'm in now is still in that aspect, but it's more or less of designing, curriculums and connecting with them with resources on how to maneuver in this space right now of, the NIL, the revenue sharing, and all the monetization things that they deal with, but also too focusing on the mental health aspect of that, like what's gonna, you're getting it at a lot of earlier age, and then too for the ones who don't get it as the other schools are, just how can I help them maximize the opportunity right now, so when they graduate, they still can walk into a, gainful employment or having the confidence to transition and
Yeah.
having the tools to transition, but also too knowing how to use those tools at a high level.
Yeah, no, that's real. It's needed. And that's part of the work that I'm doing. I know it's part of the work that a lot of folks that I'm connected with doing, Athlete Soul is doing, is kind of helping them to get all the things they need early on so they can be ready for that transition and live a prosperous life. So I'm curious for you though, like, you're doing a lot of stuff still in that space. You're connected to the sport, you're connected to building curriculum. But since your transition from football, like, what have you discovered about yourself, or maybe there's
Mhm.
different hobbies and things that you like really enjoy now that like helps you live fully?
Man, I have so within this role now, I don't have to be. I have a lot of like flexibility as far as work-life balance. And it allows me to, I'm noticing now that that allows me to really, really empty out my ideas and empty out like not having to feel like rushed and then have to be somewhere, but like have a chance to really be in the weeds. And within that, with being a director for quite some time now, learning how to be in the weeds and how to be in the weeds of what I'm building and what stuff that we are figuring out. How do I make sure I'm being efficient with being in the weeds where I have to be, you know, on this level and then be, a coordinator one day. Basically, it's just what we're building. So for that man, it's that's what I'm discovering too. And then about myself, the thing that I'm discovering about myself is I'm really starting to learn patience and like really being intuitive about the stuff that trigger me. The really managing not managing my schedule, but really just in my time that I have with myself. How am I listening to myself? How am I, finding things that really make me happy. So it's like I don't have all the noise of, practice, working out, programming, traveling for games, and then we doing our own programming on the off season, and logistics and all of that. It's so much like you can't really hear yourself think. So now I get to reflect back on all that and really, you know, figuring out like for myself, bro, like just the silence like the real figuring out, but really, to be honest, bro, figuring out who I am under all of that, the vices, the stuff from sports, the trauma, all of it, and then figuring out and really, really listening to like and figuring out who really Anton is outside of the helmet, the job, the partnerships, all that stuff, all the stuff. Like, and one thing my therapist said is like, one thing that I'm running from that I feel like is I commit to a lot of stuff, but I don't finish a lot of stuff. And I do a great job of stuff I do finish, but it's like you open so many boxes. And then it's like, figuring out why. And I figured out why. It's like, all right, you running. If you're always building, no one can judge you. Why are you scared of judgment? Because as a kid, you get tough father and all that. So you still performing. So when you don't have performance, when you don't create deadlines, you leave room for constantly building and no judgment. But when it's all stripped away, who are you under that? The real person. And then the thing that my therapist said that I might be scared of is you may not like or you may or may not like who you really are underneath all of it. And boy, that's been like, man, that hit me to the core. And it's like, and then one thing it did say was, in order to fix all that, you just got to be still. And I was like, what does be still mean? Like, it's like, can you sit 5 or 10 minutes without having to grab your phone or walking and just letting your thoughts really flow through, or you just sitting for 10 minutes and just sitting there. And it was like basically until I really, really basically said, bro, I won't sit still enough or I won't stay small enough to create something big, because I built this moniker around developing and building stuff because I'm still trying to perform and prove my worth. When I'm already there. It's just you got to be okay with what you produce and you put out. And so, bro, I've been not battling with that. I've been like relieved. I'm like, all right, now how do I really know that I'm doing it?
Yeah,
And it's like you're doing it again.
yeah,
Just sit still, bro, and just relax. And then just be be focused on the interview. And then once you figure that out, if you like it or not, now you start to figure out stuff you want to fix about it. So that's
yeah.
kind of where I am. I know that's a lot.
No, that's real, and that's powerful that you're in that space, and getting the support to kind of help you work through that because like naturally as an athlete, like we're performative, man. Like everything is a task, is a goal. I'm trying to achieve. I'm trying to move. I'm trying to grow. And you can get caught up in that rat race of life of just trying to achieve everything every day. And the stillness is the hardest part because, like I said, like we've never been taught to just sit still. So being in that space where you're sitting still and just thinking and just being okay with like the validation of yourself versus the validation of everybody else from seeing the work that you're doing is different. It's training a new muscle. And I commend you for like taking that step and working through that right now because it's part of really, that process of accepting everything that you are and being okay with who you are, no matter what nobody else says, you know what I'm saying, and building on that. So that's dope. What would be some things that you would tell these athletes right now as they're navigating this to kind of think beyond just the game?
Oh man, as an athlete, bro, like college athlete, I don't care if you at, Oklahoma State, Alabama, wherever you are, like those 4 or 5 years are the hottest you gonna ever be. We ain't talking about pro or career. I'm talking about right now. And whether you are a starter or not, you play for the Kansas Jayhawks, whatever. There's some people in that community who would love to shake your hand, who would love to bring you into what they're doing, and they would love to mentor you. They would love to help you and give and be around you much as they can. And that's the opportunity that you have to build something that's going to last past money, past professional sports, past, whatever career you decide to do. This is the best time they have right now to use all them resources to get everything out of it because the school, and Rashard Hall says all the time, when I came to Clemson, bro, I was gonna use Clemson for everything. They gonna get it out of me, I'm gonna get it out of them. I'm gonna get all the resources, I'm gonna get all the help,
Yeah.
all the everything that I can squeeze out of Clemson. So I think guys should have that mindset now. Guys and women should have that mindset now because whether you getting revenue share at some schools or not, whether you get NIL or not, but you are getting cost of attendance, you have an opportunity to maximize your influence identity now to get everything you want, or at least have a bridge to smooth transition when you finish. So that'll be one thing. Also, I would tell them to, when I say learn financial literacy, I mean learn it from its simplest form because if you're getting all this money and I'm NIL revenue share cost of 10, you get all these forms of money or whatever you're doing, learn cash flow. Because if you learn cash flow, you can learn you learn what's coming in and what's coming out, what I have, so all my endeavors. And then once you learn that, then you can budget. Then you can budget effectively. You can budget for for stuff I need every month. You can budget for fun I want to have. Then you can budget for investing and saving. You have the biggest opportunity now to learn that because a lot of people that's in these spaces, they don't know it. That's why they're so scared to teach it or like put their name because they don't understand it. When we talk about finances, people are scared of that, but it's so easy. There's so many YouTubes. There's so many people that want to mentor you because you are a scholar athlete. So I would say learn that. And then lastly, man, again, go back to maximize your opportunity. Start your career search when you get there. You could intern all season. You could, shadow. You can do all these things, and then you still can build these relationships with these former players or alumni. They can help string you along and help you learn that. So again, when you finish, or you show them more that I'm more than football. I'm more than volleyball. I'm more than X, Y, and Z. And then so all those things will help you transition smoothly so you're not worried about. So that way, when I'm on the field or on the track, all these things, I'm gonna ball out and I'm gonna get the money because I'm relaxed and I know I have a plan.
Love it, man. Love it, man. Appreciate all the work that you're doing. Appreciate your journey. Appreciate the story that you just shared for folks that are listening. It's been a great opportunity to just kind of hear from somebody who made it to the highest of highs in the sport, and how you kind of taking that energy and pouring it back into the future generation is commendable, man. And definitely supporting your work, man. I'm watching from afar, but make sure you're sitting still too. Like that's part of this process. Like we got to sit still and really carve out the person that we're becoming. So
Oh,
thank you.
no, thank you too. And you made me think about something you said sitting still.
Yeah,
I also say too, when you sit still, that's when you can clearly hear the voice of God and the divine and whatnot. So, yeah, man.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Quiet the rest of the noise, the other voice comes louder, right? You know what I'm saying? So do the work that you need for yourself, and that's the most important thing because this is your life. So
Heard that.
yeah, appreciate you for joining us with Transition Talks. It's been another great episode. For those who are interested in, sharing your own story of transition, feel free to reach out. We'll, talk to you and figure out a way to get those information and that story out there. But once again, Anton, thank you for your time, bro.
No, man, thank you for having me, man. This is awesome. I appreciate this space, brother, for real.
Yeah, for sure.